Why is my stylist standing in her basement? Well, today we're going to learn how to do laundry. We talked a lot about buying clothes. We talked a lot about, how to find the things that you need. But we haven't talked yet about taking care of those clothes. So today we're going to do some laundry. So first, before you even get in front of these machines, you want to make sure that you have your clothes separated. I will do another video about that, but the short version right now is that I use a selection of baskets, just small laundry baskets. I think I picked them up for a couple dollars each at Walmart or somewhere in the area, and I separate all my clothes. So as soon as I take my clothes off for the night and put on my pajamas, they go right into the appropriate laundry bin basket, so that when I go to do laundry, I don't have to worry about separating all of my clothes. That part is already done and has been done. So when the basket's full, I just go wash that load. And then, you can still keep yourself like a traditional laundry day, Saturday or Sunday or, Friday, Monday, whatever day works for you. I like to wash as I go, because I hate doing laundry. I hate it, but it is a necessary evil because yours truly loves her clothes. So I have already pre-sorted my clothes. I have them in the basket here. We're gonna load the washer. First thing you want to do is get your soap. You want to I use an all. This is Free and Clear, Clean Care, something, Free and Clear. You want to use a clear detergent for a couple of reasons. One is that the dyes can sometimes dye your clothes, which we can avoid that by the next step that I'm going to tell you about. But you really don't want any of those extra colors running through your wash with your clothes, because it can mess with the colors in the fabrics that you have, that you're washing. And second, those dyes, like for health reasons, it's not good to be like swimming in dye. When you wash your clothes, it doesn't completely like rinse everything out. It rinses pretty well and, spin cycles and rinses again kind of a thing. But if you've seen those TikToks or the videos, I forget what they call it. It's like a deep cleaning. They put it in the tub and they use a series of detergents and like borax, and they let it soak and they just stir it every couple of hours, and the dirt that comes out of clothes, even washing it after like fresh out of the washer and dryer, it just goes to show how ineffective these can be at removing like dead skin, oil, dirt that it picks up throughout the day. So having extra dyes floating around in the water that your clothes are being washed in is not really conducive to keeping them clean. So you want to pre-sort them. You want to make sure you're using a clear dye, clear dye-free, I should say, laundry detergent. And you want yourself a color catcher. This is a Color Grabber. There are a couple other brands out there, but it's just a small sheet that you drop into the washer as you pre-treat your water, which is your next step. You're going to pour your soap in, then put the water in, or vice versa. Turn the water on, then put your soap in, then put the color catcher in, then put your clothes in. Now you want to use a color catcher because if you throw in, the classic load of white clothes and there's that one red sock in there and everything comes out pink, the color catcher can mitigate the damage. It'll catch the dye that's floating around in the water and absorb it instead of your whites all turning pink. I learned this the hard way after the Great Jeans incident of 2018. I have this pair of pink jeans that I love, and it accidentally got in with all of my blue jeans and now has blue splotches on it. Yeah, I miss them dearly. but enough mourning of my jeans. Let's do the laundry. Always wash your clothes in cold water. Okay, hear me out. The only time I ever wash my clothes in hot water, with hot water, rinsing with hot water, is if we've had like reports of head lice at school, or somebody's been really sick. Like after I had COVID, I washed everything in the house with hot water. And those are really the only two reasons that you want to wash anything ever in hot water. Hot water, heat in general will loosen the dye pigments. It can loosen pleats. If you have like a pleated skirt, it can reverse the heat setting that creates those pleats, and then they'll fall out. So you want to wash everything in cold water, and then when we get to it, I'll tell you, but always dry on a low heat setting and just let it go for a little bit longer, as opposed to running it for a shorter period of time on a higher setting. Okay? Of course, don't overload your washer. That makes it harder for the clothes to get clean, and for the water to get in everywhere it needs to while it's doing its mechanical swishing and washing. So make sure that you don't overload it. Make sure you have an appropriate amount of water so that everything can get fully saturated, that the soap can get to everything, and get it all nice and clean. On to drying. For the dryer portion, whenever you put things in the dryer, first and foremost, make sure that your rinse cycle has squeezed all the water out. If you put anything that's too wet, obviously it takes longer. We're wasting energy, and you want it to dry quickly. This is also a step where you would want to check on the lighter clothes for any dye bleeding in case that happened. If you used the color catcher, like I suggested in the first part in the washing, then you should be totally fine. And you shouldn't have to worry about any of that color bleeding. I personally advocate for not using dryer sheets, fabric softener, any of those basically chemical alternatives to caring for your clothes, because one, they're not great for the skin and they're not great for your body. There's been research that shows that the chemicals can disrupt hormone function, and if you have sensitive skin, of course, that being the most obvious one, that buildup of chemicals is constantly rubbing on your skin, and it can create issues, especially if you have a condition like psoriasis or eczema, or you're just sensitive in general and you break out in hives all the time from random contact with fragrances and stuff like that. So ditch the fabric softener, ditch the dryer sheets, and don't use any of those additives to make your clothes smell cleaner longer. All of those products, including the last one, what they do is leave a layer of chemical on your clothes, which is where the smell comes from, and also makes them feel softer, but that layer is ruining the fabric over time. So you're getting basically chemical buildup on your clothes and ruining them in the process over time. So don't use any of those. Use this instead. Wool dryer balls. You can get them on all over the place these days. I've had these for years. They're probably past their prime, but you can just toss them in your dryer. And I like to use, where is it? Here it is. A little bit of essential oil on there. I use lavender for my clothes, and just a drop is all you really need. A little bit goes a long way, and I'll put it on like 3 of them, and I can smell it on my clothes for literally weeks. It's way better than any fabric softener I have ever used, ever. And you're probably wondering why I rub those two together. Because it is an oil, it can potentially stain your clothes if it rubs off of the dryer ball. I usually like to put the drop of oil on the wool dryer ball while they're still chilling in the basket here, load the dryer with my wet clothes, and then put them in after they've had a few minutes to sit while I loaded the dryer. And that takes care of any dye bleeding or oil and grease spots that would be created on your clothes. I learned this the hard way with my ex-husband's khakis when we first started using these. I didn't know that was a thing that I could do. So learn from my mistakes and don't do that. Instead, put it on there, let it sit for a few minutes, and then throw it in. Now, I have a setting on here which is low heat. It's an automatic dry. I know you can't see it because it's so far out. But it's a low heat option. So you want to look at your manual, at your dryer, and see what the preferences are or what the settings are that you can do, and make sure that you have it on a low heat setting, and just let it go for a little bit longer than maybe you're used to than with the high setting, because drying it at a high heat again is stressing the fabric and fading the colors a lot faster. Also, tumble dryers will stretch clothes, so if you add heat to that, you're increasing the elasticity that the fabric has, and you're allowing it to stretch more while it's tumbling. So it's going to get warm, but it's not really like permanent press hot. We want to stay away from all those settings unless you are truly using it to permanently press something, like you don't have time to iron, or you're busy, you're getting ready, you have somewhere to be. So you're gonna throw your wrinkled shirt before you go out to dinner in the dryer on the permanent press setting and let it tumble dry to release those wrinkles. That is an acceptable use for the permanent press feature, or a really high heat setting. Don't use it to dry your clothes. Use the lower heat setting and let it run just a little bit longer. And if it's a little damp when it comes out, hang it up and let it finish drying, air drying. Because like I said, the additional tumbling and adding more heat to it is stressing out the fibers, it's stretching them out. So before you start the dryer, make sure you empty your lint trap. This allows your clothes to dry faster, and it also prevents fire, so your house doesn't burn down. Okay, so we're back up here in my office. Just a couple of things that I also wanted to add in. One, let's learn about laundry care labels.
This is an app I downloaded called Laundry Labels, and it allows you to see all the different types of labels and what they mean. So here you can see all the different symbols that relate to washing, hot wash, cold wash, hand wash, and now I'm going to show you some drying symbols. Tumble dry low, don't dry, dry no heat, air dry, and you should really be reading all these labels on your clothes to make sure that at the very least, if it should be not thrown in the dryer, that you're hanging it up to dry. And then last, of course, is heat settings. So like I talked about with heat and letting the pleats out if you put it in the dryer too hot, this is telling you whether or not you can put it under direct heat to remove wrinkles, or if it needs to be steamed or just let it air dry.
Thank you so much for tuning in this week or listening via podcast. If you are listening via podcast, I highly recommend that you hop on my YouTube channel or my Instagram or even Facebook, whichever social avenue you're most comfortable with, and definitely watch the video so you can see some of the things like the laundry care symbols that I talked about. And till next time, guys, do your laundry and mind your style.